everyone. So continuing our series of making diagrams in order to enrich our answer writing, I bring you this another diagram. So now if you have gone through the previous year questions in ethics paper, you might have realized that there is a common theme on which often the question get asked. For example, law and ethics. So there has been a question, law versus ethics, or let us say law and ethics. You have to define and to differentiate, compare and contrast. In fact, I rightly remember there was a statement by Potter Stewart that ethics helps you to differentiate between what you have the right to do and what is right to do. So in such kind of questions, the diagram can again come very handy, not only for you to write the answer, but also to make your answer presentable, which can help you to fetch that extra mark. So let's have a look that what kind of diagram can be incorporated. Now, if you have watched the previous sessions, you would have realized that we are trying to incorporate different style of diagram. So as far as law versus ethics is concerned, what we can do is that we can make use of a quadrant based diagram where we can make the sections, for example, ethical, unethical, or on the other side, we can write legal and illegal. So this is how the quadrant based diagram can be used. And in this context, you have 4 quadrants. The first quadrant talks about something which is both ethical as well as legal. So in this context, what you have to do is you have to incorporate different examples which falls under the ambit of something which is ethical as well as legal, such as, let us say, prohibition of child labor. It is ethical also. You have to prohibit any kind of child labor. You cannot compromise with the childhood, right? You cannot compromise with their potential. And we do have an act also. So it is legal also, it is ethical. Similarly, right to education. It is absolutely ethical to provide education to the kids. And there exists Right to Education Act as well. Same holds true for right to privacy. So basically, right to privacy, right to education, or let us say right to religion. Now, these are not only legal, they are also ethical in our context. So I hope the first quadrant, the examples of something which is ethical and legal, is clear for everyone out there. Similarly, the another quadrant that we have is something which is ethical but is illegal. And in this context, while we are trying to establish the ethicality, we are actually using teleology. We are actually using the consequential ethics. That's something which might be ethical based on the consequences. For example, hungry child stealing a loaf of bread for the starving family. So stealing absolutely is illegal. But if I look at from the perspective of consequential ethics, it stands ethical. Similarly, the concept of Robin Hood, the one who steals from the rich to distribute among the poor. So again, stealing is wrong. But if you look at from the consequential perspective, it is ethical. Now, the third quadrant that we have is something which is both illegal and unethical. And we have list of examples to be written here. You can write any example which you want. This is just to give you an idea. For example, dowry, for example, bonded labor, for example, human trafficking, or for that matter, organized prostitution, child marriage, untouchability, child labor, whichever example that comes to your mind, you can write. So let's have a look on the screen. So you have dowry, you have bonded labor, you have child marriage, you have untouchability, you have organized prostitution. So these are the examples where it is both illegal as well as unethical. I hope this is clear so far. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the last quadrant, that is something which is legal, but it may not be ethical. Remember Potter Stewart's statement that you might have the right to do that, but that may not be the right thing. So it might be legal, but it may not be ethical. This is the most important quadrant when it comes down to answer writing. For example, breaking a promise which you have made to a friend. It might be legal on the face value. You've just made a promise. There was no written contract. So if you're breaking the promise, it is absolutely fine, but it would not be ethical. Similarly, not donating from your personal wealth. Nobody is going to legally hold you accountable if you do not donate from your personal wealth. But in that case, it would considered as unethical because charity is the highest virtue. Similarly, not helping an accident victim. Again, nobody is going to hold you legally accountable, but it is your moral duty to come forward and help the person who is in a situation of distress. So again, these are the examples of something which is legal, but may not be ethical. Similarly, if we talk about altruistic surrogacy, I am not talking about commercial surrogacy. I'm talking about altruistic surrogacy because altruistic surrogacy is legal. the Surrogacy Act that we have, according to that, altruistic surrogacy is legal, but many may not consider it to be ethical. Again, these are the ethical dilemma based issues. For example, suicide. So suicide has been decriminalized under the Mental Health Care Act. So suicide no longer is illegal, but it may not be considered as ethical by the society, because society believes that since we are the religious society, it is believed that giving life or taking life should be in the hand of the God and not humans. Similarly, medical termination of pregnancy. So again, it is legal provided you are terminating the pregnancy as per the law, but many in society may not consider it to be ethical. So I hope this diagram is clear for everyone. This is how the diagram can be used in order to enrich your answer. Just have a quick look at the diagram. This is known as quadrant based diagram in order to establish the relationship between law and ethics. So I'll keep bringing you more such diagrams, but do write in the comment box on what issues you need us to come up with this diagram.